Defense is off, you know, yeah?
Yeah, copy that, Andre. Let's leave it on for these high speed routes on that.
Okay, good job. Cool, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Le Mans in France for the afternoon edition of the Inside programme from the Le Mans 24 Hours. This programme is designed specifically to give you a backstage look on everything that's happening here at the 24 Hours, not to give you the on-track action. That you have to go to the app for, download the app, and you'll have all of the track action, the TV commentary, the world feed commentary. In fact, my father, so that's where he's located, although he's going home soon. And you can follow the last 3 hours or rolling up to the checker flag at 3 p.m. local time. This is what we've got coming up in this Inside programme for you in the next couple of minutes. So we've got highlights of the last couple of hours. It's still Audi and Porsche battle at the front of the field. We're going to talk to the head of motorsport at Nissan, Darren Cox. And we've also got guests from Corvette coming in to talk about their effort, and they are right at the front of the field. So let's get cracking straight away and talk to Darren Cox, who's with us in the studio. Firstly, Darren, thank you very much for joining us, because I know that this is an incredibly busy, well, I was going to say weekend, but it's a busy couple of weeks for you.
Yeah, in fact, we say it's the Le Mans 24 Hours, but actually, for most people, it's the Le Mans 3 weeks. You know, we're based, our team, in the US, so we flew over a few days before the test day, and the guys basically have camped out here ever since. So we've turned Garage 54, 55 and 56 into effectively a Nissan mini factory down there, running these 3 cars that we've got, the GTR LM Nismos.
So in terms of the on-track action, the car has made its debut at Le Mans. This couldn't be a harder place to make a debut, really.
Well, I think, first of all, you know, Le Mans is, in my opinion, and most people, of the 250,000 people that are here, the world's greatest race. And, you know, it's also probably the world's toughest race. Add to that 8 competitors of ours in the LMP1 hybrid class from, you know, some of the manufacturers with a huge history here at Le Mans, and we're coming here on our debut race. You know, it's not just that we're in our 3rd race of the WEC, we've come here and debuted the car for the first time in public. So it was always going to be a tough weekend, and we've developed the stiff upper lip, as the Brits would call it, but also, you know, really the guys have bonded into a team, both the drivers, the engineers, the mechanics, and they're working extremely hard to try and get at least one of these cars to the end. What
was really wonderful coming into the circuit for the test day a couple of weeks ago and the launch of the poster was to see just how much noise you guys had made about being here. Even over the last couple of years when you've had the Garage 56 car, even now it was still, we are here, we are making our debut, and you were leading the field on the poster.
Yeah, I think that you know, our motorsport needs to promote itself. I mean, this race is obviously the most famous race in the world, but we need to attract new people to the sport, and through this sort of forum, you know, online programs like this and social media is very important, and we try and do that. We try and not just attract the current motorsport fans, but get people involved in it, and the technology and the close racing of this series and the personalities of this series should allow us to do that. So yes, we shout a little bit louder than the others about what a fantastic championship this is, what a fantastic race this is.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the technicals behind your car, because obviously the Nissan looks very different to what we're used to seeing in LMP1. But firstly, let's catch up on the last couple of hours action from the highlights. I'm not entirely sure whether this is from 6 a.m. to 8 o'clock in the morning, but the 64 Corvette kicked off with a full round change of the brakes, the discs, or the rotors as you'd say in America, and also the pads. This Corvette, the only Corvette still in the race after we lost the 63 car in qualifying, and then the Lab car crashing very heavily in warm-up, and they sort of got it fixed, but it had malady of problems and therefore is now out of the race after contact, in fact, with the Audi LMP1 car. So that 64 flying the flag for Corvette and still doing a pretty good job at the front of the field. Now that doesn't, I guess that's early morning on board with Audi. At the front of the LMP1 field, it is very much Audi versus Porsche versus Porsche. And it is the 19 car, the car that has the 3 Le Mans rookies in the car, doing a fantastic job and leading the field for Porsche. Aston Martin still on the sharp end of GT Am, but they did in the early morning lose one of their cars with a rather large accident through the Porsche curves. Thankfully, the driver was okay. A little bit of grass tracking for Rebellion. And that is one of the characteristics of this race. There's an LMP2 car there, Darren. I'm going to bring you in. You are not only racing 3 cars in the LMP1 category, Darren, but you're also got a huge grid of LMP2 cars as well.
I think 75% of the LMP2 cars have got our engines, which means we've got 30% of the grid have got our engines in them, which is really great for us at Nissan. The Le Mans race is very well regarded in Japan and by Nissan, and to have that amount of cars choosing our engines is really special for us.
Is that just a customer program now, or is that something you still really want to push and shout about?
It's a customer program, but we use it as the ladder of sports car racing. Obviously Harry Tinknell and Olivier Pla have come from LMP2, and we see that ladder as very important, and we hope that young drivers will keep coming through that as a career path. So, we're very, very happy. We put some of our drivers, our works drivers, in those cars during the year, and we've had some great success in LMP2 with the drivers and with other partner teams. Just
looking at the pit stops for the Porsche and the Audi teams. Now, Toyota have been caught on the back foot a little bit coming into Le Mans this year as the number 1 and number 2 of the championship. They won the World Endurance Championship last year and were the best car, really, on the short circuits. But coming to Le Mans here this year, they seem to be really on the back foot. Are you really impressed, Darren, at how the German marques have just massively upped their game?
Yeah, I think it shows the commitment of the 4 manufacturers in this championship that you can go from a very high performance to an even higher one. Obviously Audi have had it a little bit their own way in previous years. Now they've got their brothers, if you like, from Porsche. They're pushing them hard, and they've had to up their game with a new aero pack, more megajoules in their car. So yeah, this is a proper work championship, and I think probably in terms of manufacturer support, the biggest now in the world. Absolutely.
In terms of, if you compare that to Formula One and other championships, really, there used to be a criteria of how many manufacturers you had to have in an FIA World Championship, and that got ignored about 5-10 years ago because literally nothing had enough manufacturers. Now we can really fly the flag in WEC.
Well, I think you've got 4 in LMP1, but also with the announcement of Ford coming next year in GT, you've also got, if my brain's working at this time in the morning, 4 in that category as well. So you've got 7, because Porsche are represented in both, 7 manufacturers completely committed to this World Championship, and that really is testament to the rules package, the calendar we've got, and the technology that is available to be used in this championship. And we're all about trying to make more people watch it because it is fantastic racing.
For fans of the British marques out on circuit, Straka Racing, a very well-known manufacturer. Something very bad came into my head just then, but the car sadly being brought back to the pit lane on the back of a truck, and Straka are out of the race, pulling up on the start-finish straight.
This was a strange one. This was Ollie Pla driving this car. There was some liquid down there. Obviously, you can see the KCMG car, which at the time was leading, also off. So Ollie felt something on the tyres, and he went straight on there. So a bit of a strange one, which we didn't get to the bottom of. Might have been something on the circuit. But I think KCMG have got going again since that incident.
And KCMG are the leaders in LMP2 still. They took pole position and they lead still in LMP2 with less than 3 hours to go as we talk to you live here in the inside studio. Now, Darren, we're going to quickly flick to some technical aspects of your car, just very basically to our viewers who maybe aren't so aware of how Le Mans works. Your car looks incredibly different to the rest of the LMP1 field. Why is that?
Well, I think it's the rules in this championship don't restrict you in terms of how you decide on your powertrain. That's the engine and the hybrid unit. They can be separate, but also the way that you design your car. And if you look at, for example, even comparing last year's Audi with this year's Audi, they're very different, but they still fit in the rules. We've taken that to the extreme. We think that the rules are very restrictive around the rear of the car and less restrictive around the front, which means, with my basic engineering knowledge, you have to balance the aerodynamic forces with the weight distribution, and therefore if you move all the weight distribution forward, you can utilize that aerodynamic ability at the front. So we've got about 65% weight distribution at the front. Looking at the other cars, which we all do and benchmark them, we think the Audi's about 55%, but we've effectively leapfrogged everybody by leapfrogging our engine from the back of the car into the front of the car, which is very, very unusual. I think took everyone by surprise, and also our main delivery of power is through the front axle as well. So effectively front engine, front wheel drive this year. Next year we'll go to the configuration the car's designed around, which is a four-wheel drive system as well. So very much a learning year for us, but the technology in this championship really is at the cutting edge and is class leading.
Well, we do have our technical expert on 24 Inside, and at the start of the week, he went sniffing around the paddock to get all the technical insight to all the stories, and of course, the main place to go was Nissan. This is what he found out down in the Nismo pit.
Most people know about our car that it's front engine and front wheel drive, and not everybody understands why. Fundamentally, the concept starts with the aerodynamics. The opportunity to make front downforce efficiently is, great in its proportion to the rear. So in order to carry a lot of front aerodynamic downforce, you also need to carry the weight of the car at the front. And once you've got a significant amount of the weight of the car on the front, it makes a lot of sense to drive those wheels with the engine. We've put the engine at the front and run massive holes through the entire car so that the front diffuser, the front wing section, can make an incredible amount of low drag downforce.
Everybody's talking about the engine being in the front, but let me point out a few more things that are interesting. You see the turbochargers on the Nissan are up very high. All of the equipment related to the front suspension are up high. And the reason is because all the action, all the value is underneath. They're working hard to make sure the air going underneath the front underwing has a completely unobstructed path under the front of the car, into the side pods, and down the whole side of the car. With this very efficient front underwing, they can make a lot of downforce, almost free of drag, and push down on those big front tires.
We have a lot of respect for what the competitors do, but we think we've come up with a more clever interpretation of the rules.
So absolutely fascinating, very, very different. Darren, when are we going to see the full potential of this very different philosophy?
We're hoping we'll be here next year fighting at the front. But again, as Zach said there, we're very respectful of our competitors. Obviously, next year I think will be Audi's 16th year. Porsche will be in their 3rd year with the same concept of car. So, we know this is not going to be easy. And a great race like this shouldn't be easy. It should be difficult to win the Le Mans 24 hours. And I think probably now is one of the most difficult years ever to win this championship. So we're not going to say too much. We want to work hard now. We've got a lot of data from around here. We can go away with all that data and look at it and see where we need to improve the car. And our improvement is definitely out of the corners, which is all about the hybrid efficiency and the four-wheel drive, which we will be able to have in place for next year. So yeah, we're racers. We'd love to be racing at the front this year, but we've got to understand we've got to do our time. We've got to go to school, and hopefully next year you'll see the Nissan GT-R LM nearer the pointy end of the grid.
So in terms of the track action over the 24 hours, it's been a very hectic week for all your guys, and maybe not the sort of the results on track that you would expect. But in terms of the whole project, do you feel like the Le Mans week has been good for Nissan? I mean, you sponsored most of the parade.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we interact rather than building big corporate hospitality units. We try and interact with the fans. So some of the things we do, we sponsor the parade, where I believe there's 150,000 people there on Friday. We sponsor the concert and bring top name DJs to that. We also have the fan zone, which is we're very accessible on our stand with some excellent displays. We have our GT Academy, Nissan France final on there, so again very accessible in terms of motorsport. So yeah, all of our activities very much focus at the fans and also focus to having fun. You know, sometimes we lose the idea that motorsport can be fun off track. And you saw there when Zach was talking, our pizza bar, or the P1 ZZA bar, you know, and that's just for our guests that are on the stand that can just have a smoothie, they can go on massage chairs, have some oxygen, have a pizza, and then they actually go into the garage, which, again, at this level, to get garage tours in the middle of the race when our guys are, you know, developing the car, rebuilding the car in some instances after we had a big incident with Harry Tinknell hitting something at 300 kilometres an hour, so the whole front of the car had to be rebuilt. We allow our guests, our customers and our fans into the garage with headphones on. They can listen to team radio with a very professional driver that's a professional driver hosting that as well, giving them a real insight into the team. So it's all about interaction. It's all about making sure the fans see the great side of motorsport rather than shutting the garage door, shutting the hospitality in their face and really trying to open the doors. So in that respect, if you draw a line at the garage doors, behind that we've had a fantastic time. You know, our merchandising that I'm wearing now is sold out. The fans love what we're doing. You know, as you say, we're on the posters. It's just great. It's great to be a part of this event, and we actually take pride in the fact that we're helping to promote this event. All we got to do now is make the thing faster out on track.
But in terms of the collaboration then between the ACO, it must be, your relationship with the ACO must be huge to allow you to build the hospitalities in the places where previously there were trees, to put you on the front of the poster and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I think the relationship between all the manufacturers actually and the ACO is very good. Now, of course, we all want the same real estate here and on track. So, of course, there's always difficult discussions about regulations on track, about who's going to get what space at this circuit. I mean, everyone's got a great spot now around this fantastic circuit. But the spirit of the manufacturers that are involved with the ACO is hard, fair, but as a partnership. And all of us want to promote the championship and make the championship bigger, and I think that's an important difference between some of the other championships out there. And of course, the ACO have been doing this for a long time. You know, they're not going to be have their head turned by a manufacturer that comes in once and tries to change everything. You know, they're going to keep the consistency. They are the guardians of this event, and long may that continue. Our job as a group is to take some of this Le Mans spirit and sprinkle some of that fairy dust over the other rounds in this championship and make the WEC, a mini Le Mans championship all around the world. That's what that championship deserves. Absolutely,
and the president of the ACO, who is very instrumental to changing the philosophy and keeping this wonderful WEC championship, but also the Le Mans 24 Hours in check, is Pierre Fillon, and we spoke to him last night.
Mr. President, the 83rd edition of Le Mans 24 Hours has been quite a big success. Are you happy with the way things went?
Yes, we are very happy. It is a great event this year. The race is fantastic with a wonderful fight between in all the category between the competitors. A lot of fun this year because we have the same number of spectators than last year, and last year it was a record. So you are very satisfied.
How does it work, that partnership between ACO and FIA for the WEC?
It's for sure it's a very good partnership with Jean Todt. We imagine to launch this Endurance World Championship. We had the 24 Hours, we had the Continental Series, and now we have this championship. This championship is stronger and stronger. We had a lot of manufacturers. We work on new rules with the FIA. Rules based on the energy efficiency, and we allow a lot of technologies, but on the track the car is very tight, close, very close, and for a sporting point of view, it's very good for the spectators.
Great to hear from the president of the ACO and hear his thoughts on what is becoming just a fantastic championship. The WEC, it's just growing strength to strength every year. Darren Cox, thank you for coming into the WEC, coming to Le Mans with a fantastic new concept, and for joining us here.
Thank you very much, and again, thank you to the fans of Le Mans for welcoming us here. Obviously, we've got a great history here. We had the 1990 pole car here and the fans have been so welcoming, and we've got fans from all over the world. And one bunch of fans I'd love to mention, and you should catch them if you can on one of your shows, is the flag wavers opposite our garage. They've literally been up 24 hours. They come all the way from Japan, and when they're at Super GT races, they wave their flags every time a Nissan car comes past. And of course, with a third of the grid here, they've been doing a lot of waving. So the fan reaction to our car has been brilliant, and we'd like to thank you and see you back here next year for this wonderful race.
Darren, thank you. After the break, we're going to be talking to Corvette. See you in a sec.
Andre, let's leave it on for these high speed contact.
Good job. Cool. Thank you guys.
Faced with unpredictable weather, how do you keep danger at bay? Today, Michelin creates Cross Climate. The first tyre able to cope with unexpected weather thanks to its revolutionary performances. With the Michelin Cross Climate innovation, arm yourself for every weather condition. Michelin, a better way forward.
Why this watch? This watch has seen machines perform poetry, and memories come rushing back. It has witnessed man test his will
272 miles an hour.
and the laws of physics. It has decided fates by thousandths of a second and seen a champion knighted. It doesn't just tell time, it tells history.
Andre, let's leave it on for these high speed contact.
Hello everyone, welcome to the penultimate programme for the 24-hour Inside. We're just overlooking the Ford Chicane and we've got about 2.5 hours left of the world's most famous endurance race. This programme designed specifically to give you an inside, backstage look on everything going on event. But if you want to follow the track action, you must download our app. It's got live commentary. You actually can select onboard cameras as well. You've got on-demand video and the full TV coverage at the click of a button on your phone, on your tablet, or on your computer. So if you want the track action and the news, go there. If you want to hear from Doug Feehan, and if you want to hear from our technical expert, Dave Spitzer, stay here with us. Fantastic to have you with us, Doug. Thank you very, very much. A very tough year for Corvette generally here at Le Mans, but looks like one car is still really flying the flag.
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to look at the scoring board here for the last half hour, but we've been battling towards the front. And it's been a little difficult, a challenge this year. But this is a team, this is our 16th consecutive year here at Le Mans. So we have weathered many storms. We've experienced many different things, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. And we choose to look at this year's adversity as just opportunity dressed a little differently. And by that I mean that this is a team that has always responded when the going's gotten tough. That's the earmark of Corvette. And when we lost that first car, you know, I mentioned to the guys in a humorous way, I said, you know, we've just reduced our chances of winning by 50% internally.
Yep.
But I said externally, we've increased our chances of winning by 12% because we got one less car to beat. So, you know, we choose to look at that half full. And we've rallied around, we've done some things a little differently, and I think everybody's pretty pleased with what we've seen so far. It's going to be a dogfight to the end.
Why is it so important? You guys don't enter the WEC Championship, so this is just a standalone race for you. Why does Corvette come back time and time again?
Well, let's face it, this is the holy grail of motorsports, the 24 hours of Le Mans. That's why. We can make as great a global impression by winning here as we can running 10 or 12 different races in Europe. If you're going to win a race any place on this planet, this is the race you want to win. This is how you establish yourselves. And you only have to look at the progress we made. When we first came here, Corvette had a terrible reputation. I mean, it was a noisy, gas-guzzling American something. They didn't really know what it was. It had a terrible following. We did the research. I mean, it was drug dealers, prostitutes, and pimps that drove Corvettes. So, I mean, we knew we had a high mountain to climb. And I think we did that by going out in our second year and winning, and then obviously collecting 7 wins subsequent to that. Has not only you know, trademarked the Corvette as a global sports car of merit, but also has given great credentials to the team.
Well, I know you've got a lot of contact, Doug, over the years with all the Corvette fans back home in America. And
Yeah.
Ben and I have been talking about how popular this race is around the world, but of course in the United States it's a big deal. But tell us a few stories about how the fans respond in the USA when you go around and they talk about Le Mans and what they think of Le Mans.
Well, I can sum that up even in this year, all right? 3 places in the world this race is being live streamed, okay? Berlin, Tokyo, and the Corvette Museum.
Wow.
We have a full theater there in the Corvette Museum, and in a deal that we've been able to negotiate with the ACO, they were trying to garner more exposure for Le Mans in the U.S., because it's huge every place but the U.S. It's just not that big there. And so I suggested that the Corvette Museum would be a perfect place to do that. The brain trust at the ACO has seen the maniacal approach that the Corvette fans have. I mean, they're tireless people, endless support. And so we agreed to do it there. So we got Tokyo, Berlin, and the Corvette Museum. Who would thunk that? Anyway, that theater's full of people. They've been there for the last 30 hours.
Wow.
We go on Skype about every 30 minutes with myself and drivers and crew people and,
Right.
and constant contact. We have the huge theater screen that has the race up. We have 2 Jumbotrons in there. One carries a full-time in-car camera for the 64 car, and the other one carries the Skyping. And I mean, all night long, as soon as that Skype thing comes on, that audience breaks out in a huge cheer. They're crazy. The Corvette fans are absolutely crazy. Think about this. Let's put this into perspective. We just finished building a 3.1-mile road course, bona fide, full-scale, proper-built road course. They paid for that themselves out of their own pocket.
Wow.
That's a fan base.
Fantastic. Well, more stories, more great stories from you, Doug, in a few moments' time. But firstly, Mr. Spitzer here was digging around your team earlier in the week, and here's what he found out.
So here we are on the famous Le Mans pit lane. Fans know these images very well. On the pit lane, the cars are coming at a controlled speed. They're headed towards their garages for service, maybe fuel and tires, even sometimes inside the box for extra service. But there's another side that you might find interesting. What are they doing in these little boxes out here? What's going on? So this is where the race control happens for each team. The engineers, the team leaders, they'll be here receiving information from their pits about the condition of the cars. They'll be receiving on these screens information from race control all about the racetrack. They will certainly have excellent weather. And this is where the engineers and the leadership of each car sit together to make decisions. When do we pit? When do we take tires? What's going to happen next? What do we tell the drivers? How do we advise? How do we control the race? It all happens right here on pit lane. This is where many decisions are made.
I'm pretty sure that's called the Pratt Perch by many a driver.
Yes, it
certainly
is.
in England anyway.
No, it's fun. We've had a chance to go around and just try to explain a little bit behind the scenes. But tell us, Doug, did I get most of that right? What do you think?
I think you pretty much nailed it. You know, we've got 6 engineers that hang out there when we have 2 cars. You know, drivers will go out there after they finish their stint. They'll do their debrief. You know, occasionally Gary Pratt will head on out there, see what's going on. I'll walk out there, make sure they're all staying awake out there. I think one of the things that's unsung, though, that you don't see in that box that actually is perched up top above our pit in the pit lane suite is a young lady, Melanie Carell, who's our timer and scorer. Now, she's been doing this her entire career and one of the most amazing people I've ever met. We have several females that play a key role in our team. She is one. She sits up there and does not move for all 24 hours of that race. Over the years, she's developed a special diet, both solid and liquid food, to help eliminate the necessity to vacate her spot. And she sits there for all 24 hours and scores every single car on this racetrack and sits up there and gives us the immediate interpretation of the rules. When we need to know driver times, what's the timing of the car, she can tell us. As a matter of fact, there was a conversation before I came up here asking at what time Jordan Taylor got in the car, and she had it down to 3 decimal places. It was at 19 hours, 22 minutes, 14.695 seconds. It's an amazing thing to watch her work. She's looking out there, the fingers are going on the keys, and to do that for 20 minutes would be, to do it for 24 hours, unbelievable, and she does it time and time again.
Doug, I've got one last question for you so you can go back to your perch and follow the rest of this race. Are we going to see Corvette and WEC especially now that Ford have announced they're not just doing Le Mans, they're coming back for the full World Endurance Championship, and that's a big rivalry between you two.
Well, the fact you don't have much time, the answer is no.
All right.
No. We've got Labre that competes there as a customer, and they're doing a wonderful job. For us, it doesn't make a difference whether it's Pro or Am. You know, a Corvette victory is a Corvette victory, and it's all what you make it back in the States. The U.S. is our biggest market. That's our focus, and we accomplish all we really need to accomplish in Europe right here at Le Mans. It's a balance of economics. Would we like to compete and full-time in WEC? You betcha we would. Would the factory like to be there? You bet we would. But it becomes a question of value return on dollar, and right now, with the economics that we have, we're maximizing what we're doing, and we're quite comfortable with that.
Doug, thank you very much for joining us. Fantastic to have two really large men involved in the running of two of the works teams right here in our inside studio, giving you the backstage pass to everything that's going on track. Remember, if you want to follow the race, it's just about 2 hours left now. Then download our app if you haven't already and follow the full TV coverage with British commentary or English commentary, English language commentary. You've got online on-demand apps, you've got the live timing and scoring, you've got onboard cameras, and much, much more. Loads of information. If you download that, by the way, you can then follow the whole of the World Endurance Championship for the rest of the year totally for free. So make sure you download that. I'm going to leave you with some of the atmosphere around the campsite here at Le Mans. Haley went down to discover it, and we'll be back just after the race for a summary of the 83rd edition of the Le Mans 24 Hours. See you in a bit.
It's 8 o'clock in the morning and the 24 Hours of Le Mans is in full swing. We headed down to the campsite to go have a chat with the spectators and the fans to see if they'd actually even gone to bed yet. Right, can you just tell us where we are right now?
Right, this is the Thomas Cook Air Track site, which is right beside the Bugatti racetrack. And here we are at Le Mans, 24-hour race.
So tell us about the revellers that are here, staying here during 24 hours Le Mans.
Well, the majority is all English, and they've come from all walks of society. So, you know, you get the rich and wealthy, and you get the average everyday man who just comes to enjoy motorsport.
It's the only time you see Lamborghinis next to little tents, right?
That's right, and along with Ferraris, Aston Martins, you name it, they're all here.
What are the camping essentials for a race, for 24 hours of Le Mans?
Just a sleeping bag and a tent.
And that'll do?
That's enough.
The 24 Hours of Le Mans mobile app. Total immersion in the heart of the world's greatest endurance race. All the teams and drivers, the timing, the classification, and countless videos on demand. With the app's live option, you don't miss a thing. You not only get streaming TV wherever you are, but also the choice of onboard cameras. Be among the connected crowd. Download the 24 Hours of Le Mans app today.
Defensive off, you know, yeah?
Yeah, copy that, Andre. Let's leave it on for these high speed routes on that.
Okay, good job. Cool. Thank you guys.
The 24 Hours of Le Mans, as you've never seen it. 24 Hours Inside is the event channel. Travel to the heart of the world's greatest endurance race. Go backstage and discover the stories that make the legend. Meet the actors and the fans. 24 Hours Inside, because the event is also all around the track. On your tablet, smartphone or PC.